Hey y'all, it's Hey Crafty Hub and welcome! Today I am working on the Pirate Pretties Jewelry Challenge for April. If you don't know, Angela at Pirate Pretties, she's got a YouTube channel and a Facebook group that you can join. She has a challenge every month, and this year she's doing it, and she may have done it last year, but I'm not sure. It's a birthstone challenge. So it's related to what the birthstones are for each month. Every month she has a color, which is the birthstone, a metal choice, a project type, and a fun element that you can work into your jewelry piece, or some of them are not jewelry, but jewelry related. The fun element is optional. Last month I didn't use the fun element. The month before I did. This month I am. In vintage, because if y'all know anything about me, I love thrifting and finding vintage old items and incorporating them into what I make. So let me talk about what I'm going to do. Let's see, first we're going to start with the diamond, and I decided just some crystals would be really nice for the diamond color. So I've got these are super sparkly. I think they may have some kind of coating on them to make them even more sparkly. I think they're just from, I don't even know where they're from, but they're nice sparkly diamond beads. And then the metal type you can see is this. She has silver or gold this month, and as you can see, I'm using silver. I've got all of the all of the wires here. The type is a bracelet. I am going to make a bracelet. And then for my vintage element, I have this shank button. Now, it also kind of reflects the diamond because it's got these rhinestones in it. And what I'm going to try to do, all right, I'm going to explain this, y'all. I'm going to probably do voiceover for all of this, is I've created a washer, basically. This is a piece of tin from a tin container that I punched out and then punched a hole in the middle of. So I'm going to try to make this some kind of element. Oh, that's there. Okay. By putting this in there, I'm going to use the wire to create it as keep it connected, and then I may punch some holes in the side, but it's going to be my bracelet element here, like this. Maybe, with some beads coming off of it. Now I may need, these are the only 5 of these I had, so I may have to add something else in here. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. I may add some chain. We'll see. Yeah, I may add one more and then do some chain so that it can be adjustable. That sounds like a good plan there. But I want to take these tiny simulated pearls, which is also some kind of vintage element that I picked up at I don't know, it was part of something at an estate sale, I think, and accent each of these. So this is all going to be experimental. I'm going to voice over what's going on, and y'all let me know if y'all have any questions about my process or anything. All right, guys, let's get to it. The first thing I'm going to do is secure that rhinestone button in that homemade washer. And I'm doing that by taking some 20 gauge silver wire. And it's just a short length. And I kind of wrapped it around the shank there to keep it from wobbling around. I'm going to wrap it a little bit more. And then I'm going to take my round nose pliers and just make some little curves to stay flat against the back of that washer and to keep it from just like twisting and sliding out, basically. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then let me see, you can see it there. Then I need a way to attach my bead chain to it, so I'm going to get I think it's a 1.8 millimeter, I think that's what it is. It could be 1.5. It's just a metal hole punch. And I'm going to try to punch pretty even on each side of this. It goes pretty quickly. My problem is that this ended up not being completely symmetrical, in that the washer is bigger on some sides than on the other. And I think that could be a flaw in the button itself, because I was pretty exact when I cut that center hole out of that that disc. So, but it's all going to work. This is just going to keep, and the reason I put the background there was to just give a flat surface for that button so it doesn't do a whole lot of flipping and all of that. All right, so I am going to take some 22 gauge wire, which is my favorite gauge of wire, and I'm going to make a wrap loop. So I have a tutorial on wrap loops. I'll put a link up in the right corner to show you how to do it. But I'm just creating one wrap loop, and I'm going to try, I think I'm going to trim off the excess there. No, I'm going to go ahead and use my chain nose pliers to flatten down that little bit that's poking up. And then I'm going to take one of those clear crystal beads and slide it on, and then create a wrap loop on the other side. So I'm just bending that wire. I'm going to make both of the links, not both the links, both of the loops on either end go in the same direction. So you can see that there. And I'm going to complete the wrap there. And I'm doing about 4 wraps on each of them to give me enough room to add, to have some space. So I was looking at that bead, making sure everything's nice and tight. And I'm going to trim off that excess and tuck it. Now I've got these tweezer nose pliers there, y'all. I love those. They're great for when I've got to tuck the wire on the ends there. So I'm using some 26 gauge wire. I could have used some 24, couldn't find my 24, so I had this 26. And I left a little tail around the wrap on that link I made, and I just wrapped it, what was that, 2 or 3 times. Then I'm going to trim the excess and tuck it, of course. And then I'm going to add some of those tiny simulated pearls. Now, I probably could have done some of this all with the 22 gauge wire, but because these pearls were so tiny, I didn't want to risk that they weren't going to fit on that 22 gauge. That's why I'm using the 26. Like I said, 24 probably would have worked just as well. So I added 5 beads and checked, and it needed another 1 or 2, so I ended up with 7 beads. And I'm holding that tight there, and I'm going to wrap that wire around that other wrap until it, I did about 2 or 3 until it winds up on the other side of the bead. And I'm going to add 7 more of those pearls. And at this point, I know 7 is the right number, so I'm going to hold it again. And some of them I did this where I went under the wrap, under the previous wrap, just to make sure it was good and secure, but also because of how much room was available on the wrap. So, and I'm trying to get everything nice and tight, and I'm double checking my bead count just before I finish it, because I think one side felt a little more loose, but it just had to be pulled tight. And now I'm going to finish that wrap. I think I'm going to go under it. Yep. One more time. And I didn't do that on all of my wraps, just a couple of them, because it just depended on how I started my wrap and that kind of thing and how much room was on them. But I trimmed that and used my chain nose pliers. So I did that with all of those crystal beads that I had, and now I'm got some jump rings that I'm just opening and connecting everything. So I'm just connecting these with jump rings. A lot of times I will just connect wrap loops to each other, but for this one I felt that it gave me a little more space to move it. I don't know, it would help those beads lay a little more flat when they're laid out like that. So, and I was trying to get them all turned up in the same direction. So as always, when you open a jump ring, you twist them open. I find that I like to use chain nose pliers and some bent nose pliers to open and close jump rings, and I've gotten so used to doing that when I use like 2 pairs of chain nose pliers, it doesn't work as well because I've gotten so used to using those bent nose pliers. Anyway, you do it the way you want, but just make sure you twist, whether you're using 2 pairs of chain nose or chain nose and bent nose. I don't recommend using round nose pliers because they can be a little slick and you don't get as good of a grip. So I was looking there about how much room was left of what I needed, and I'm going to go up that plus some of that chain so it can be an extender chain. So if it needs to be bigger, it can be bigger, and if it needs to be smaller, it can be smaller. So that chain does have a split on it, so I just opened the chain, and I'm going where that open was. I'm just going to slip that on the shorter end of my other chain. And I decided here that I wanted to give a little weight. Oh, I'm pulling out a clasp. I'm adding the clasp to the end without the chain, again with a jump ring. And as I look at it, I decide that I want a little more weight to the end of that chain. See, I'm trying to put it on and it's being flippy, and I'm looking at it. So I'm going to go grab a head pin and another crystal bead. This is just a little rondelle from my stash. And I'm going to make a wrap loop, but I'm not going to complete the loop. I'm going to open it up there, stick it on the bottom of that chain, and then close it and finish my wrap. And with that, this bracelet is done. Y'all, it is so gorgeous. I have to thank Angela for this challenge, because I would have never come up with this if it hadn't been for her prompt to use diamonds and make a bracelet and all of that. So I appreciate that so much. I hope that you find something inspirational in this, and go check out everybody else that plays along with the Pirate Pretty Jewelry Challenge. Thanks, y'all. Bye. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Okay, now, bye.